Extremely distressing, and I think both she and the Prince of Wales will be very angry about this. The fact that at her most vulnerable, when she has been admitted to hospital for major surgery, that someone has tried to access her private medical data. And, it doesn't matter that she's the Princess of Wales. It doesn't matter who she is. Like every single one of us, she is entitled to confidentiality when it comes to her medical records. And that's actually a law. You are not able, if you work in an NHS or a private setting, a member of staff there, you are not entitled or allowed to access someone else's private data without the right permissions. And so we've now got the Information Commissioner's Office investigating, the London Clinic saying they've got an investigation. The police have been asked to investigate as well. I mean, it is very, very serious indeed.
I mean, you'd imagine there would be the ultimate checks and balances on that particular record, wouldn't there? Every record must be secure, everyone must be private, but that one, my God, would be so ring-fenced in all kinds of codes and security measures that you would imagine it would be absolutely impossible. The Fort Knox of all medical reports. But do we know whether the person or the people who tried to access it succeeded or whether they didn't?
We know that they tried to access her medical information, but what we don't know is how much they were able to see, if anything at all, or whether it was an attempt to do so. But either way, any attempt has to be taken incredibly seriously. And for the London Clinic, we've had this statement from the Chief Executive of the London Clinic. This is extraordinarily embarrassing and very difficult indeed, because this is a clinic that prides itself on its discretion.
Yes.
They have had not only the Princess of Wales, but also the King receiving treatment there. This is a hospital that was chosen by former Prime Ministers, Clement Attlee, for example, John F. Kennedy, Elizabeth Taylor, members of the royal family, the Queen, Prince Philip, Princess Margaret, David Cameron, the Foreign Secretary, was born in this hospital. Its entire reputation is built around protecting those high-profile individuals that might choose its services, and this is extremely damaging.
And Rupert, obviously, as a member of the royal family, you know that you are subject to perennial, constant scrutiny wherever you go. So wherever you go, you must be extra worried and concerned about confidentiality, because otherwise you can't do anything without somebody seeing you doing it.
Yes, and I'm sure Prince William and the Princess of Wales, when they went in there, were expecting a perfect confidentiality, that nothing would get out. We know how much William wants to protect his wife's privacy. And for the CEO of the London Clinic, it's embarrassing, and he's probably feeling let down that any member of his staff would want to do this, even though there may be temptations for that member of staff, and we know it's a feeding frenzy out there. It just feels that when you probably sign the bottom line of a staff contract, don't ever go anywhere. This has got to stay within here, and if you do, then you're going to suffer the full consequences. So it's going to be something that will have to be managed carefully. And whoever did this, will we find out? Well, perhaps they will need to look at that very carefully.
All right, well, this reminds lots of people of what happened in that other hospital, very much favoured by members of the royal family, the King Edward VII Hospital, also just off Marylebone High Street in the West End of London. And that was in 2012, and that was also to the then Duchess of Cambridge, Kate.
Yes, I mean, sadly, this isn't her first experience of a security breach when it comes to her health information. Back in 2012, the then Duchess of Cambridge was admitted to the King Edward VII Hospital, just a short distance from the London Clinic in Marylebone in central London, with hyperemesis gravidarum, severe morning sickness. And during that hospital stay, 2 Australian radio DJs made a prank hoax call to the hospital, posing as Prince Charles and the late Queen, and asked to be put through to her to gain information about her condition. And tragically, the nurse that initially took that phone call and transferred it through went on to take her own life just a few days after this had emerged. So,
and that was because she was so ashamed.
She felt
so she'd let everybody
responsible
down.
That she had let everybody down. The most horrific and tragic consequences of what somebody thought was a joke.
And she was a young woman with children, and at the
was
time people were
young,
so horrified,
she was a mother with
weren't
2
they?
children who felt just so terrible. I mean, absolutely awful.
And she was just the victim of a hoax. She hadn't done anything wrong herself at all.
No.
Such a shame, wasn't it? Such
Yeah.
a shame. So when Kate was admitted to the London clinic, she will have felt, won't she, Rupert, some degree of risk. You know, you have to have some kind of trust in the integrity of your doctor, that your doctor doesn't tell his wife, that the surgeon doesn't tell his mother, that the person who, the various people assisting in theatre don't come out and, don't take a photograph on their mobile phones or tell anybody. You know, you're having to put your trust in the integrity of many, many different people that you don't know. But I suppose you're supposed to think the Hippocratic Oath and loyalty, discretion, professionalism. You know, even if you really, really want to tell your next door neighbour what you just saw, you don't tell.
Well, it's careless talk. You know, that slogan from the, they believed, quite rightly, that everything they thought would be kept within the four walls, and only the people who needed to know knew, and that's where it would stay. The king, when he was there, yes, we knew what he went in for, and then it was subsequently revealed, but he wanted to control the narrative. He's controlled that from the day one. The Prince and Princess of Wales have taken a different approach. They want total privacy and do things on their term, and they will announce whatever is wrong with the Princess of Wales when they feel comfortable and right. And when that be, Sarah and I, we don't know, but we can see it probably being evolving over the next few weeks once she's back out on the road, and we'll get sort of little bits of information here and there.
And let's just establish this, Sarah. If you were somebody who worked at the London Clinic, or somebody who knew somebody who worked at the London Clinic, or somebody who got hold of someone at the London Clinic and said, listen, you get me this information and I will pay you this enormous, absolutely exorbitant amount of money, and you just couldn't resist and you thought, OK, that kind of a thing, there wouldn't actually, in fairness, be a market for that kind of information in the media anyway.
Not
would there,
in the mainstream
or would there?
media, but I suppose...
Not in this country.
Not in this country as well, but, the internet is a whole different ballgame. I mean, I think there will be very few people within the London Clinic who actually had access to that information and who actually knew what was going on, because the royal family would have received assurances when the Princess of Wales was admitted that there would be a very, very tight circle. They have been adamant that they want to maintain the Princess of Wales's privacy, and they have managed to do that about the specifics of her condition and her treatment, as is her right. And so there will only have been a very few members of staff there that will have been privy to that information, this circle of trust. And actually outside of the hospital, within the family and within close friends, this has been kept very, very, very tightly guarded, because they want to protect the Princess of Wales, but also her family. 3 young children, we don't know how much information they've been given about what's been going on.
No, absolutely not. So this is a very kind of difficult situation. And we, if people were watching the first hour of this programme from 4 o'clock, they will have heard and seen Dr. Philippa Kay, who's a highly respected London GP, talking about the actual medical implications of somebody who's having to convalesce over a period of several months after major abdominal surgery, being the subject of this barrage of hostility, malevolence, conspiracy theories, people snapping pictures. There was that picture taken that was circulated outside the country, but not inside the country. She was filmed by this seemingly rather nice member of the public last weekend, who said, well, she looked very cheerful, here's the footage. So people thought it wasn't her, it definitely was her. That person, I think, was just trying to do good rather than bad. But this feeling of being targeted and the subject of this kind of level of tittle-tattle and malicious gossip. Dr. Philippa Kay said it's not at all fanciful to think this could seriously set back somebody's recovery.
I think the stress, and if every time you think, right, I'm convalescing, if we're ill, we want to sort of shut ourselves out, just get back and do things in our own time. But the pressure, endlessly reading, you can't get away from the sort of conspiracy theories out there. And if you are just trying to take your time and get absolutely 100% fit, because she's under the spotlight 100% of the time. As soon as she walks outside that door, OK, it goes with the territory, but you are permanently on show. Even if you're going to the shops to pick up your Saturday evening groceries, which is what they appear to be doing after watching their children play sport, which so many couples do on a Saturday afternoon. They go to the Windsor Farm Shop, which is a perfectly normal place probably for them to go to, just round the corner from home, yet they're filmed. But I have to say, she looks happy enough. She's striding purposely. So we have to take that on trust and say, that's good news. let's hope that gradually, we may see her at Easter, we don't know, that she feels more confident. But my goodness me, these stresses and strains.
Really, very much so, very much so. And you know, what we know about Kate Middleton, Sarah, are some things, but not many. The thing that most people say about her is that she's never put a foot wrong, that she's, you know, smiling and enthusiastic, polite, a delight when she arrives anywhere. People like meeting her. She's gentle, she's kind.
Takes great care of her staff.
Yeah, she's enthusiastic. She's all the good things, all the
thoroughly
nice,
decent human being.
thoroughly decent human being. So from what you know about her and from what the people that know her have told you about her and your experience of her, do you think she's somebody with the resilience to deal with this kind of, I can think the only word for it really is onslaught, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And I think, you know, she's strong. And she is resilient, and you know it's not the first time she's faced this. If you think back to the beginnings of her relationship with Prince William, the kind of pressures she was coming under then, but nothing could have prepared her for this. And when you're at your most vulnerable and you are trying to put every ounce of your energy into getting better, and they've kind of talked about this time frame of she'll be back at some point after Easter. You know, we don't know when after Easter, but you are desperately trying. And now to be feeling under so much pressure to show the world where you are, that you're okay, that everything's fine, then that is extremely difficult. And for anyone to have gone through the major surgery that she's gone through, you will be suffering some emotional trauma after that as well. And that can only be compounded by this onslaught, as you describe it quite rightly, Vanessa.
And we know that Prince Harry has become, over the years, increasingly indignant, livid, furious at the treatment meted out, he says, to his wife, and she also says that the treatment meted out to Meghan, to herself. Do you think that Prince William is of a very different personality and character, Rupert, or do you think he will also feel absolutely furious? Because we have seen him get angry, haven't we, about various things?
I'm sure he's not happy.
No.
Because he will feel, you know, his protection of his wife, that this is coming out from all angles, of the wildness of some of the stuff out there. You just think, what the heck? It's madness. Can you just not let me get on and look after my wife and my 3 children? I mean, OK, they go to school, but we need to just regroup. I will try and carry on my duties, as we saw him in Sheffield yesterday. Just so much seems to be happening on a daily basis.
Every day is merging into each other.
But he went to Sheffield yesterday for something that he's passionate about, and then alluded to the fact, I wish my wife would be there, because her early learning project, which is something she's passionate about, and the homeless project that William is passionate about. But he'll be feeling, he's trying to put on a brave face. When you see him out and about, he's putting on the happy face, but he's probably, as soon as the door of the car, he's probably thinking, oh, it's intense for him to be under the kind of scrutiny that he is as well. It's not just Kate.
Absolutely, and let's factor in that he's worried about his father as well. I mean, this isn't easy. This is really very difficult. I don't know whether in all your years, you know, as a royal expert, a royal correspondent, you've ever reported on a series of events, anything like this.
It's like a perfect storm, an imperfect storm, isn't it? And, you know, I think the Prince of Wales will be absolutely livid at what is going on, because the facts of this are she went into hospital. We were told she was going to be at home for 3 months. We're not even anywhere near the end of that period yet. Nothing has changed in that. They said they wouldn't give a running commentary, and he is very protective over his family and trying to maintain their privacy for his wife, very protective of her, having seen what his mother went through, but also for the 3 children, trying to give them as much normality and stability as they can, living in this bubble.
Very difficult, isn't it? I'm kind of, you can't help slightly hoping that tomorrow there's nothing to say, can you? Kind of hoping that there's a tranquil, normal day where there are no leaks, there are no kind of confessions.
Well, I mean, we had a conversation about this yesterday, and you think that every day, and it just keeps on coming, and, you know, it has done. Well, I mean, since...
You just want them to be able to have, up to Easter, the Easter holidays, where they can actually just regroup as a family and just have some fun, get through Easter, and then they can rehabilitate themselves. But every day there seems to be something, everyone trying to sort of see if they can get ahead of the game and find out what's going on. Leave them to it, move on, and then we can see the Princess of Wales back out doing what she does well, which is meeting the public and getting out there in the visible face of the younger royal family.
Absolutely. Thank you both very much indeed.